Well, good morning, everyone. I'm Dan Bossi, president of Ag Resource Company, joined by our grain analyst, chief grain analyst, and head of our Chicago Bureau, Ben Buckner. Ben, welcome this morning. We've got a lot to talk about. Markets are generally weaker. A lot of this is related back to, of course, planting progress yesterday, and it appears that U.S. farmers will get seed in the ground on a normal basis, at least for the next couple of weeks, and that's taking some premium out of the marketplace. We're still not to a point yet where the drought in northern China or the dryness across the Black Sea is really giving us any market support. We believe that will be coming, but these markets are back and forth depending upon the latest headline. The dollar's still weak. We've still got some opportunities for seasonality to kick in and get some rallies as we head into the first part of May, but our mindset is now changing in terms of wanting to reward those rallies with sales. So, Ben, what do you have for us this morning, and what do you want to talk about for the day ahead?
Yeah, I think you're exactly correct, especially when we talk about things like, watching drought in China, developing drought in the Black Sea, but we're only very slowly getting to the heart of the winter wheat growing season. It's still only April 22nd. We've got another 45 or 60 days left. That weather can still change things. So I think that matters most. I think, too, like the background, of course, we're dealing with chaos in financial markets and global trade policies, vessel movement, things like that. So I think to get lasting sparks in the ag space, you do need something special. And something we've been kind of laser focused on the last couple of weeks, especially, is just watching seasonal trends. And for the most part, these tend to work year in and year out. And so, like we've talked about the last couple of days, there is some runway here. We're not getting any Brazilian corn for another couple of months. The Northern Hemisphere grain and even soybean balance sheets are going to be fairly tight, but we're just kind of watching what's going to prevent this normal downtrend in price come the middle of May or early June. And I don't think it's planting progress or U.S. weather. The U.S. Soybean crop was 8% planted. That is at the upper end of the historical record. Corn plants were 12% planted, compares to 10% on average and 11% last year. And I think given the forecast, we're probably going to plant another 20%, 25% of both crops in the next 2 weeks. It should be a very, very timely planting season. Winter wheat, too. It's been one of the focal points, dryness in the plains, burgeoning drought, Dakotas, Nebraska and Kansas. But today it's just not quite worrisome. Crop conditions. Nationally, the winter wheat crop was 45% good to excellent. That compares to 50% a year ago. So down, but not worrisomely so. Even when we break out class-specific crop condition indexes, we're about at average for both soft red and hard red. So again, I don't think there's enough to be concerned about supply dislocation, even in winter wheat in the U.S. just yet. And here's the forecast. I think this is kind of what the markets will be increasingly looking at. Again, knowing that probably the default is we're going to have higher feedstocks, oilseed stocks come September, October. What's going to disrupt that? For now, we're going to have, I think, maybe a full class degradation of drought in Oklahoma, Kansas, and Nebraska. On the left, you've got the latest drought monitor. On the right, you've got the Weather Service's 5-day precip forecast. And so you can see rainfall totals of at least 2 inches. That's going to ease things quite a bit there. At the same time, you don't have a lot of rain finally in places like the Mid-South and Eastern Midwest. So we've broken the 10-day forecast here into 5-day increments. On the left, you've got the 1 to 5 day forecast, and on the right, you've got the 6 to 10 day. I think what we've been watching is just east of the Mississippi River, the Eastern Midwest, Ohio Valley, Tennessee, Kentucky. Not a lot of rain for the next 10 days. And finally, it's going to be pretty warm. So there's really not a lot to stop. I think a lot of fields getting planted where it's been a little sluggish because of rain over the next 10 days. And so, again, what's new weather-wise? Are there new threats? We are watching China. We're watching the Black Sea. But in the U.S. specifically, it's hard to identify something new today.
Well, Ben, I think that kind of wraps us up. But as you think about the day, the back end of the market's going to be the worst performing because as we do get seed in the ground, we're going to take weather premium out. Front end will be supported by tightening supplies, both on corn and soybeans. But as we step back from everything, it's trade deals in this Trump administration and the headlines that follow. And, at the moment, anyway, we're not getting the Vietnams, the Thailands. Maybe we've got South Korea who's promising to buy a few more additional soybeans from the United States, but we need that demand, if you will, to change the price structure. Without that, it's going to be supply loss, and weather, at least for the moment, looks good and prices are headed down. Back to you, Ben, for any closing comments.
Yeah, I think we all just have to be nimble. If you're we're kind of watching, what are the details of our talks with Japan? What are the details between the U.S. and China? Will Vietnam buy U.S. corn? That stuff that will be kind of headline based, and we all have to pay very close attention. But it is going to be moving very fast. So, yeah, stay tuned. Being engaged in the market is going to be, priority number one.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Have a great day. We'll be back tomorrow. And again, the theme and thesis today is that new crop is going to be planted in the United States. We'll watch for weather problems elsewhere and keep our eye on trade. Be well, everyone. Thanks again.
What is this?